Hello humanoids, Halfling Hannah here from Halfling Hobbies, and I got this campaign setting for my birthday. My husband took me to our local game shop and let me pick out any book I wanted. He told me to pick out an adventure, and of course I ended up picking out a campaign setting. But that was in July. And I hadn't really looked through Eberron, Rising from the Last War, up until recently. I have a couple of campaigns that are getting ready to end, and I wanted to start a new campaign with a setting that I hadn't really done before, something new to explore, something that was a little bit different. And so I thought, hey, I picked up that one setting, a couple of months ago. Why not crack that bad boy open, see what's up in here. And, oh my gosh, this is everything I didn't know that I needed in life. Like, this campaign setting is freaking amazing, and I am so excited to start a game with it. Like, I haven't been this excited about a campaign in a long time. I am in love with this campaign setting, and in this video, I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons why you should be using Eberron, because it's amazing, and I'm super excited. Here we go. So to start off with, what is Eberron? Where is it? What is the overall feel of Eberron? Well, Eberron is very different from the other campaign settings in Dungeons & Dragons. It is an official Wizards of the Coast campaign setting and section of the multiverse. Eberron, unlike the other ones, kind of has like this steampunk feel to things. They've taken the idea of magic and made the culture completely reliant upon it. Their commerce, their travel, everything about daily life is inundated with magic. And magic has become a normal job. There are these things called mage rights, that it is their job to make the world run. So with that comes inventions, farm implements that kind of take care of themselves. All of our modern day kinds of technology are available in Eberron in different ways, except instead of using science and mechanical means to make it happen, they have used magic, which is really freaking cool. Eberron, however, is a kind of dark and gritty setting. It has been torn apart by war. These massive wars have been raging for years and years and years. And there is kind of an uneasy peace happening between the 5 great nations and some of the smaller nations through a treaty. Let's get into the 5 reasons why Eberron is such an incredible campaign setting for veteran DMs or new DMs alike. First of all, dinosaurs. When I started reading and they started talking about dinosaurs in Eberron, you cannot even imagine how excited I got. I think it was like 12 o'clock at night and I was reading and I was just like hitting Greg, my husband. I'm like, there are dinosaurs! And he was not as excited as I was. But dinosaurs. Do I really need to go in anything more? There are magical beasts and there are crazy monsters in all the campaign settings, but there's just something so legit about like Jurassic Parking it and being able to go in and have your party interact with dinosaurs and fight dinosaurs. I just love it so much. Reason number 2, Eberron is freaking fantastic. This one's for the nerds. So if you're not a nerd, maybe skip ahead a little bit more, but my language nerds out there, my linguists, anybody else feel uncomfortable with the language system set up in like every other D&D module? The system was when a player created a character, that character knew Common because that was the universal language, but then they also got another language that was directly tied to their race, such as dwarves knew Dwarvish, gnomes knew Gnomish, blah, blah, blah. If you're not a linguist, this probably doesn't bother you all that much. You think, oh, yes, it's their race. All members of that race know that language. Now that I'm saying it, that probably seems weird. Because that's not how language works. Just because I'm white doesn't mean that I immediately speak English. I could be from France, and I could only speak French. My race does not immediately mean that I speak a certain language. Language is based on geographic location. Wherever you were born and raised, that is likely the language that you speak, because that is what was around you and that was what was necessary. In Eberron, this is how they approach language. And while this isn't super exciting to a lot of other people, it makes my linguist heart so happy that they have thought through what actually would happen in a world. And it's one of the few details, and we'll get into a couple more, that just make this setting feel real in a way that the other one simply didn't. So if you are a dwarf, it doesn't matter that you're a dwarf, it matters the location that you come from. That determines the language that you speak. So if you're from this specific location, you might speak giant and not know dwarvish because you didn't grow up in an area where it was spoken. So okay, nerd rant over, but it's freaking awesome that they finally adjusted the language to be more real. Number 3. This campaign setting, unlike a lot of the other ones, has such a gritty reality to it that it's just so fun to be immersed in. It has this noir kind of feel to it, this hard-boiled fiction where everything has consequences and the world events that are happening are really influencing everything that happens in day-to-day life. There's crime that has an impact on the world around it. It's not just hidden in these seedy pockets. It's much more like reality, to where these things have a huge impact on daily life. Consequences are real. It is very gritty. It is very down to earth. And there aren't a lot of happy endings to the stories. If you do something wrong in Eberron, it can have huge, lasting consequences that your players are going to have to deal with. And I love that. I love everything about that, and I'm 100% on board with you, Eberron. Yes, let's make the players deal with the consequences of their actions for once. And whoever said that a happy ending automatically equals a good ending? You can have the players lose. You can have them fight this great fight and lose, and it still be a satisfying and good ending to a long story. Another way that this gritty reality makes this world feel real is the fact that most people are pretty poor, scraping by to live. Instead of 1 gold per day being the normal living wage, in Eberron it's 1 silver per day, meaning everything is going to be a lot harder to come by. Things, yes, will be cheaper, but the party will have much less gold. And if you know anything about me, you know I'm not a huge fan of my party having ridiculous amounts of gold unless it's for plot purposes. So in Eberron, things that cost a gold, you would think, oh, that's no big deal, we can do that. It's actually going to be a lot harder for your players to come by. And this is the perfect campaign setting to bring about that reality, to make players scrimp and save and strive for every gold piece that they have, and make them really feel that reality of needing money. The 4th reason why I am in love with the Eberron setting is modern transportation. Because magic is used throughout the world, it permeates everything, they have used it to create trains and airships, not by the normal mechanical means, but by utilizing magic to be able to power them. This means that your party can get from one location to another location much, much quicker and earlier in the campaign. So you can have an early quest take them to a faraway exotic location, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. They simply need to save up the money for an airship ticket. That airship will take them to the location. This also makes traveling so much easier. I hate travel. I hate figuring out what to do during travel times, and a lot of times I just end up doing something super boring, like what skill do you want to develop, or do you want to make something, or here's a bandit. I hate it. In Eberron, because travel is so much faster, you have to, 1, come up with less things to do during travel, and 2, you can come up with really fun things, such as train heists that your players have to stop, or perhaps an airship has been taken out by an enemy country. Or perhaps the airship that the players are on has actually been hijacked by a rival nation, and they are taking that airship and taking it back to the rival nation because there's a member of the nobility on board. And so they have to find a way to get the airship back and pilot it back in the direction that they're supposed to be going. There's so many interesting and intriguing ways that you can handle travel in Eberron because the technology is so much more modern. It's so much quicker, and it's so much cooler than a cart and a horse. God, it's dumb. And yes, your players get teleportation, but not until later in the game. So what do you do at the very beginning? You take 2 months to travel somewhere, and it's terrible. Okay, travel rant over. Let's move on to the fifth and final reason why I'm in love with the Eberron setting. The Eberron setting has a variety of cultures that have all come together to create an extremely interesting environment. So, because of these nations rising and falling throughout the history of Eberron, you have giants' ruins. You have goblin tunnels underneath major cities that are still being used. You have aspects and parts of all of these different cultures that normally you don't get to see in D&D because they are monstrous races, such as goblins and ogres and giants and things like that. You don't get to see their culture and the cool things about them because they're monstrous races, and all your players do is go in and kill all of them. Not in Eberron. In Eberron, they are just as much a part of society as anyone else or any of the other normal races. And they have created empires just like the other races have. There was a time when the goblins ruled over Eberron, and they were the major ones that were there. And so you have this huge goblin society that rose up and then fell, and you have the remnants of that still in a lot of different areas. So your players, even if they just stay in the starting city, have all of these different cultures that they can interact with. They have all of these different hidden things from past societies that they could find, like these tunnel systems underneath the city. This creates an incredible setting for your players right off the bat, and so many options for you as the DM for hooks and for side quests and just for overall flavor of the campaign, and I'm absolutely in love with it. And of course, bonus reasons why I love Eberron, you have some new races that are amazing, like the Warforged, which is so cool, or Changelings, or Shapers. There's so much to unpack in here, and I'm super excited to bring you along on this journey with me. As I go through and I create a campaign in Eberron, I'm going to be posting even more videos about the cool parts of Eberron that I think really get overlooked. So stay tuned, make sure you like and subscribe so you see all of my Eberron adventures coming up. I'm so excited to have you with us. Until next time, my friends, may your game have advantage. Halfling Hannah here, signing out.